man, and I mean on your station.
My life is so beautiful. You know, say yeah, it's all about bread, man.
And I say this is the original Chronic saying. You're tuned into the original bread man. Keep it locked. Rastafari said that. Ease out.
Yeah, you don't know this is a girl bad girl Cecile representing for bread man.
All who genuine bread man, reroute them. And all who are touch, we mute them. Them no smoke, them no sick, them no have pink eye, but them yeah in red. Yeah man, bread man. We're better than everything. All stead man.
Alright guys, welcome back to the vlog and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to ask you from the beginning of the video right now to just hit that subscribe button below. And the bell next to it, click that too. If you're new to the channel or if you've been coming to the channel and you haven't clicked it yet, come on, let's get that over with. Alright, I need the subscribership to go up on this. Well, I'm here, coming back to Picture Perfect. I got a call from our friend Noah from Picture Perfect, and they've been able to take care of that situation for me. Let me make sure I don't get a ticket. Now it is in New York. Gotta feed the Munimeter. All right, we're back to business. Let's go see how Noah set us up. I know he definitely probably did good. This is the outside. I didn't even show you guys. They have some jewelry too. Some nice paintings. Hi, good morning. Morning. So welcome back to Picture Perfect, guys. Good morning, Sonia.
Yes, how are you?
I see we remember you. And Noah.
Yes.
How are you, Noah? Wow. Okay, now I understand what you with the window with the daily news. Okay.
And this is the rest of your paper. Whatever.
How are you? Welcome back.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow, guys, how do you like
Yes.
it? Hold it up for me.
Okay. Sure. Just wait a minute.
Can I just say it?
Wow.
What's the relationship with that? You know, the Ferrari 10. Is he?
So I like it. You can see
I thought you went for a.
he was able to mend the paper. It looks like one solid paper.
Memorial, apologize.
I don't even see the seam.
A young woman, 35.
Very good.
Stomach
You
cancer.
can see the article. You can see the date. The date is important.
Okay. Oh, I can't. Oh, no, I can't.
See the date from the front page and the header from the front page.
Sorry.
I think we're definitely satisfied.
Thank you.
I think I'm definitely satisfied. Noah, thank you very much.
God bless you. Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much. I appreciate you. Trying us anyway.
And like I said again, if you guys are looking for work similar to this, or even framing, what other services do you
And anything I could frame. There's nothing I can't frame.
frame? But I even noticed that you have jewelry in here. That's costume jewelry.
We have silver and some custom jewelry. Yes.
So, just if you're in the neighborhood, this is the Riverdale section of the Bronx. Just
Appreciate
take
it,
a
yeah.
stop by Picture Perfect. Say hi to Noah and Sonia. They're very nice folks and very helpful. And I definitely recommend their business. So, guys, stop by.
Thank you. This is UV. You know, the gift job in UV.
Okay.
Your seal in here. You can't put any in. Try, not to scratch with a blade or something like that because it take the coat of the top.
Oh, take the coat of the UV.
If you put, if you like to clean it with ammonia free, will be the best. Any, you could find it as ammonia free to do the best job for it.
Okay.
All right.
And you said the back, that's the seal?
Yeah, this is Italian.
Oh.
99%.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys. Already set up to be hung. I think we're gonna hang this in the office. All right. All right, guys. I'm gonna hit you back.
Thank you, Mr. William.
Thank you. Thank you again, Sonia. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you both. All right. All right, guys. I'm gonna hit you back on the other end. So that's it. When I get home, I'm gonna hang it up in the office. I definitely think that's where I want to put it. I'm pretty much delighted. Actually, the way it looked faded and looked like it was like frilling on the edges. There was like little like cut marks on the edges. The way he framed it, it was perfect. It looked like it definitely looks preserved. And he said with the UV glass, it won't get any. It won't change any color any further, or it will actually, if not, it'll slow the process of the color changing. So I think this is the best way to do it, best way to preserve it. And this is something when I'm long and gone, this is something that Kayla will have to tell her stories to my grandkids, and my grandkids tell to their grandkids. So I think this was the right thing to do. And just like Elroy from the previous video was there saying that it may not be worth something to somebody else, but it's priceless to me. I'll catch up with you later on the day and give you some more content. So, all right, peace, guys. There it is. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna put it up in the office. I'm not sure where I'm gonna put it up. Maybe over here, and over here. I usually film in this direction, so it'd be good to have it on that wall. But I'll figure that out. The next video, you guys will know it's where it's up. But let me finish up this video. Okay, now the previous two videos was mainly about this story. And I've mentioned the story and I mentioned the impact of the story, but I've never really told you the story itself. Some of you, if you did your due diligence and you searched for the article, you probably got a gist of what happened. But I'm just going to give you a basic rundown, and I'm going to run down how from like my first perception of stop and frisk before. Then I skip forward real quick to the arrest and what I did actually during the arrest and after the arrest that led to this result of them actually changing the policy of stop and frisk. And the only reason why I want to do this right now is, one second, guys. I know it's kind of hot here. I don't want to be sweating. Let me turn on the AC. But one of the main reasons why I want to do this, guys, is because I want to basically share my experience, just in case if in the future others encounter similar policies that are violating their rights and they're not sure how they could change it. Because before I even did this, a lot of my friends, even while I was fighting my case, a lot of my friends were under this notion, and a lot of people I know were under this notion, like, who do you think you are? Why are you trying to fight City Hall? You're not going to win. That's how, I hear this a lot. That's how it's always been. Just because it's that way doesn't mean that it's legal, or it doesn't mean that it's right. And if something's violating your rights, now sure, a lot of law enforcement used stop and frisk, as they say, was their best way of getting the guns off the street. The results show that the majority of people that they stopped and frisked weren't armed, or weren't even in violation of any laws. But that's not the proper way to get guns off the street. You can't violate your citizens' rights to protect your citizens. And I'm sure there's maybe some of the citizens that say, oh, I'll give up my rights just to feel safe. And that's your prerogative. You want to feel that way, but I can't feel that way. I will never give up my rights to feel safe. Your rights are there to protect you. That's what makes you feel safe. You're maybe safe from one enemy, but giving up your rights is putting you in a vulnerable position to another enemy. And not saying that the government is your enemy, but those rights are there to protect you, because the government is ever changing. Not the people in the government are ever changing. Policymakers are ever changing. People die, new people take place. The Supreme Court, new people take place. And mention the Supreme Court, that's why I went into the whole thing, is that the Supreme Court is there to make sure that we don't drift too far from those core rights that people are supposed to have. Those inalienable, I can never say that word, people. Those inalienable rights that we all possess. And inalienable. That's how you say it. Inalienable rights that people possess. Now, let's get into the whole story. Now, stop and frisk. I remember when I was a kid, probably about 12, when I started becoming a teenager is when I first started getting stop and frisk with my friends. I used to hang out with a particular friend. A bunch of us used to hang out in front of his building. We used to just like play music and, play cards and all sorts of things. But when it got to like in the nighttime, like in the 7:00 when the sun came down, police would randomly come on different blocks, and there was other kids up the block, and they would just frisk all of us to see if we have something on us. And I just felt violated every time that happened. And when I was in high school now, I met a teacher named Mr. Lesser. And Mr. Lesser, he taught a criminal justice class. It was like a law class that was in my school. And I really wanted to get into that class. I got into the class, and Mr. Lesser was the first person that started like breaking down the Bill of Rights to me. And he even like zoned in on two main rights on the Bill of Rights, which was the 4th and the 14th Amendment. Maybe Mr. Lesser seen the plight of young black men, and that's why he told me that I need to understand those rights. But the 4th Amendment protects you against illegal searches and seizures, which is what stop and frisk mainly was doing. There's a way that they was doing stop and frisk where they got you to waive the 4th Amendment right without you even really knowing. And I believe that's not good. That's not a good thing to trick people out of their rights. I'll get into that in a little bit. But the 14th Amendment protects you, meaning protects you in another way, meaning that your right to due process. Now, due process means you can't make up laws or practices where you only make those laws and practices for a certain type of individual or a certain group of people, which is how stop and frisk was being implemented. Stop and frisk was mainly being applied to minorities. So that's against the 14th Amendment also. And those two rights that Mr. Lesser told me from then, and me and my friends, when I would leave school, me and my friends would hang out and then we would get stop and frisk. And one day I just started applying some of the stuff that Mr. Lesser taught me. And the first day I remember, it was against the side of a Burger King nearby here. Me and 3 of my friends, we were walking on the way to one of our friends' house who was going to play Nintendo or something like that. And the police rolled up on us and put us up against the wall and started searching us. So in the middle of the search, I mustered up enough bravery and I said, "Do you even have probable cause to be searching us?" And they all stopped searching immediately. I was so surprised. They stopped searching. They focused their attention on me, started asking me questions like if my father's a lawyer and whatever. So when I realized the reaction just by that question, me asking if they have probable cause, and that wasn't even the exercise of my rights, that's just an indication to them that I do understand the law and you're breaking the law, which tells me that they all knew that they were breaking at least those police officers, when they knew they were breaking the law, because the mention of probable cause put them to a halt. And that stuck in my head, and I've told a lot of my friends that I grew up with, I told them, I said, yo, really, this thing that they do with us, this is not legal. I don't know how come nobody didn't stop it. And the more I learned about law, I learned that a lot of laws have to go to the Supreme Court for them to really like crack down on it and say, listen, this practice got to stop because it's against the Constitution, which is like what I mentioned in the previous videos about the whole gun laws, because those laws were in these states, especially New York, over 100 years, and they were in violation of the Second Amendment. And it didn't take until now when the Supreme Court ruled on it again, even though there were different rulings, but the whole premise of that you have to give a reason why you want a gun, that was against the Constitution. You don't need to give a reason to exercise your right. It's your right. Now, certain rights you have to show like you're capable of those rights, and I like the Second Amendment, which I do believe in, but you can't deny a person the right because they don't have a reason for it. That's not lawful, and that's been rectified by the Supreme Court, and I believe that's rightfully so. So that's my whole thing about stop and frisk. Stop and frisk violated the Constitution, and it's been violating the Constitution from it was implemented, and no one said anything about it. I didn't go to the Supreme Court to change it, but one of my actions was, let me just really get into the whole thing about me getting arrested. When I got arrested, basically, I was driving. I had another individual in my car that I picked up. This guy everybody knows they call me Breadman because I had a bread route. I finished my bread route one day, and the location where I parked my truck, and there's another guy that works there. He works for another route owner. He's a driver, and his personal car, he told me it broke down, so he's asking me if I could drop him to his friend, who's a mechanic, and his friend is going to go help him start his car because his car broke down this morning. So I said, no problem. He jumps in my car. He directs me to the friend's house. When I reach to the friend's house, he asked me, oh, the car's not far from here. Can you drop me and my friend by the car? So I said, all right, tell your friend to come outside because I'm kind of in a rush. I'm sitting there, and I waited like about 15 minutes for the friend, and the friend didn't come out. So I told him, listen, yo, I'm going to have to leave you because I got to go. So he said, all right, just drop me by my house then. So I said, all right, come on, let's go, close the door. So he closes the door. As I'm driving off, I notice a van pulls off the minute I pull off behind me, and I make a left, the van makes a left. I make a right, the van makes a right, or whatever. I'm going about I'm trying to get to the location where this guy's house is. So it's kind of a funny street where it's like I come in one direction, but I actually have to be going to the other direction. It's like a triangle. So I didn't want to make an illegal U-turn, so I went to the next intersection, pulled over, and when it was clear, I made a U-turn to go back the other way and make the right to over where the guy's block is. If you guys understand, hopefully I'm not being too confusing. So as I direct myself and I go over to his block, I like about a few feet up in front of his house, I pull over into a parking space. As I pull over into a parking space, I see the van come around the corner in my mirror. They pull up right behind me, and then all of a sudden I see guys jumping out, plain clothes, guns on their hip. I realize it's police officers coming towards my car. So technically they didn't pull me over. I was in the middle of parking, and then they just approached my car. So at that point now, they approach my car. I'll give you two police officers' names throughout this whole interaction. Police Officer Anderson comes to my side of the car. Police Officer Esposito comes to the other gentleman's side of the car. So automatically, Police Officer Esposito opens my passenger door and takes my passenger outside of the car. He leaves my door open. So me knowing the whole law, I'm looking at the door being open now, and Police Officer Anderson is asking me about for my license and registration. So I said, why did you pull me over? He starts asking me, why was I parked up where I was waiting for the mechanic? So I told him I was waiting for a mechanic for his car. So I look over now, Esposito is searching this guy now. He's searching his pockets and all that. He's not exercising rights. He's not even saying I don't even think he waived his rights. Esposito just started searching him. After he finished searching him, he sits him on the curb, and then he starts coming into my car. So when he starts coming into my car, I tell Anderson, hold on for a second. I said, excuse me, what are you doing? I don't consent to searches. Could you back up out of my car, please? So when I said that, Esposito says, you watch too much effing TV. We already have probable cause. So I look at him and I was like, oh, really? So I realized, okay, this police officer right now, he's just making it up as he goes. So you know what? I switched to observation. This is my first hint to you people. If you realize a police officer is not going by the book, this is not the court. Don't fight him on the streets. Don't argue with him on the streets. Just stop talking. Use your Fifth Amendment right. Stop talking and just start observing and remembering everything about the encounter. So at that point, I kind of go silent. Anderson is still asking me questions and all that stuff. Anderson asks me to come outside of the car. I get out of the car. When I get out of the car, once I open the door, Anderson, he holds the top of the door. When I come outside of the car now, he's holding the door. So I hold the door and I said, excuse me, can I close my door, please? He lets go of the door and I close the door. That's another thing. When they ask you to exit the car, a lot of time they hold the door open and then they tell you either to go to the back of the car so that way they can leave the door open. By leaving the door open now, that is part of the whole trick of waiving your rights. At that point, you need to exercise your rights fully, say the words, I do not consent to searches, may I close my door, please. If they have probable cause, then they will state that whatever, but if they don't, they will allow you, or they should allow you to close your door. You need to know when to exercise your right to illegal seizures and protection against illegal seizures and searches. And the words are, I do not consent to searches. You need to say those words to police officers. That's the only way you could exercise your right. And once you say that, just like when they're interrogating you and you see it in the movie and they say, I want my lawyer, they stop questioning you. Once you say, I do not consent to searches, they cannot search you. The only way they can search you is if they already have probable cause or certain numbers of reasonable suspicion, which will equate to probable cause. That may vary in different jurisdictions. So, back to the story. This is going to get a little lengthy, but this is worth it. Listen, guys. So, long story short, Esposito searches my entire car illegally. Searches the car up and down. He can't find anything. There's nothing in the car. So I don't know if at that point, I'm speculating. I don't know if at that point he realized because he didn't find anything and I'm using certain words, which shows that I know the law, this might come back on him. So he's got to find a reason for the search. He stops his search. He goes back to the van. Anderson has still got me standing there. Anderson hasn't searched my persons yet. Because Anderson, I believe, he realized what's up and he doesn't really want to get dirty, but that's his partner. Esposito's his partner, and he's not stopping his partner from doing this illegal search. Even though he's not helping him search, but because he could have searched me while he was doing it. Esposito refrained from searching me. Anderson refrained from searching me while Esposito was searching the car. Esposito goes back to the van that they were driving, and I'm looking at him, and he goes on his radio or his walkie-talkie or whatever, and he says, I need you guys to come over here. We have something. So I look at him because he hasn't presented anything to me yet. I look at Anderson, I was like, what's this? Esposito comes, closes the van, he walks back to my car, goes back to the front, he looks under my front passenger seat, and he sticks his hand under there, and I'm looking to see at his hand to see if he's going to pull out anything. He pulls out his hand, there's nothing in his hand. He comes around to the back seat, bends down, puts his hand under the same front seat, and then he pulls out a white thing that looks like a pill. I'm not sure, it could have been a Tic Tac, I'm not sure, but it looked like that. So he goes, I found something. So Anderson said, what's that? So I said, yeah, what's that? He goes, it says WAT, and then Anderson finishes his sentence for him and says, oh, that's a Watson, that's a Vicodin. If you don't have a prescription, that's illegal. So I'm looking, I was like, oh, don't try to play this now. Because I'm like, wait a second, are they setting me up? Because, so I said, can I see the pill? He doesn't show me the pill. Next minute, Anderson is still there like, saying, yeah, that's an illegal substance. Esposito tells Anderson to cuff me. And that's when I get arrested. Now, Anderson, he cuffs me right there, and then he starts bringing me to the van. He doesn't even remember that he hasn't even searched me yet. So they actually put me in the van, and they start driving me around for like about a half an hour when I guess Anderson remembers that he didn't search me, and then they stop the van and they take me out of the van and then search me and then put me back in the van. It was like, So fast forward through all of that now. I go to the precinct. When I go to the precinct, and when I get to the precinct, I ask them if I could get a DAT, that's a desk appearance ticket, so I could just have a court date. They tell me they're not giving me a desk appearance ticket. They send me through the whole thing, central bookings, everything. When I get my arraignment, thank you to whoever that legal aid that they gave me. When I get to my arraignment now, before your arraignment, the legal aid speaks to you about your case, and they tell you, okay, what exactly is presented and what most likely the assistant DA is going to offer or whatever. The legal aid tells me they're going to offer me a disorderly conduct, which is not a crime, it's a violation. But still, it is an infraction on my record, and I didn't do anything, so why would I take that? But I didn't realize that the majority of people that get arrested, they take some kind of plea bargain whether they're guilty or not, because when I got into that courtroom, I was the only person that didn't take the plea bargain that was offered to me. Everybody else took the plea bargain. Okay, fast forward, I get to Central Board, I get to an arraignment, they offer me disorderly conduct with a $150 fine. I tell them no, I'm innocent, I'm not taking any charges, I want a dismissal. I speak with the judge at the arraignment, and she asked me, is it the reason for the fine? Is the $150 too much? So I said, it's too much for the fact that I didn't do anything. So she says, she speaks to the DA, and they come back to me and said they offer me disorderly conduct with time served. I don't have to pay a fine. So I said, no, I want a dismissal. She tells me I have to come back. And the next time I come back, I will not have a legal aid. I need to bring my own lawyer. Well, fast forward, I get to the next court date. I come with no lawyer. The judge at that court date now asked me, where's my lawyer? I said, I didn't get a lawyer. I didn't feel like I need to pay a lawyer to put in my plea of not guilty. So she says, you may not understand the gravity of the situation. You can go to jail for this and whatever like that. And I can't understand anything out of your mouth if you don't have a lawyer next to you. So but Mr. Wilson, the offer of disorderly conduct with time served is still on the table. So I said, no, thank you. They give me another court date. She also warns me, I better come with a lawyer the next time. So the third time now, I get a lawyer. I pay him like $3,500 just to say that I'm not guilty. But my lawyer, I found the right lawyer because he was on my page. So I get a lawyer now, and before we go in for the third court date, I'm speaking to him outside and I'm telling him, yo, bro, I only want a dismissal because I didn't do anything. This cop tried to set me up. This cop violated. You know what, guys? I'm sorry. Before I get to all those court dates, before I get to all those court dates, I left out one important thing, one important process that I did. Now, there's an equivalent to this in different jurisdictions, but after the first arraignment, when I told them that I'm not taking the disorderly conduct with the $150 fine or the disorderly conduct with time served, they gave me the other court date and told me that I won't have a lawyer. When I left that day, it was a little late. It was about 2 o'clock, but the next morning, I went to the Civilian Complaint Review Board. That's what it's called in New York. I'm not sure what other jurisdictions, but there should be something equivalent to that where civilians can report misconduct of police directly. Now, this is not like to the internal affairs. This is supposed to be an independent body. I'm not sure how, but it's supposed to be an independent body that'll do their own investigations if you report misconduct. You can do it over the phone anonymously, but I prefer to do it in person. And I went and got myself recorded, and I gave my whole statement of what happened the day before while it was fresh in my head. Now, once you make that statement, the Civilian Complaint Review Board has to bring all the officers involved now, and they have to make a statement of what happened that day, and then a determination will go by checking all statements to see really what is true or what is substantiated. So by me doing that now, I brought in Esposito, Anderson, even the other officers that they brought in, and they called saying, oh, we got something over here, and all that. Their superior officer that didn't give me the DAT when I got to the precinct, all of them had to come in and make a statement. By me doing that now, I got a substantiated report from CCRB that them stopping me was illegal, meaning the stop and frisk. They had no probable cause to stop me and no probable cause to search me. But mainly they had no probable cause to stop me, which everything else after that, I don't know how that's going to work for them. So once you do that now, you lay that's very key, another key point. You have to get your stuff documented. Once you feel like you've been a subject of misconduct by police, after you get through that first little encounter, if you go to jail or you go through central booking, after your arraignment, when you get out, you go to your Civilian Complaint Review Board and you make a statement and put that on file so that they can make their movements on the police officers that they have to make their statement. And if the statement is a certain cause, after my statement was substantiated, I believe that then it's referred to internal affairs, and then internal affairs deal with those police officers. So during the whole time while I'm going to court now, that's going on. Those three, with me and the lawyer. And internal affairs, by the third court date now, when I come to court with the lawyer, internal affairs has already been investigating these guys. And one of the officers is like, I don't know, on three different occasions, I see him. Like he's following me. Like while I'm working, I work, I'm delivering bread, I pack out my bread in the store, and when I come to the front of the store, I see him at the front, standing by the register. I go to the next store and I see him parked outside the front of the store. So when I realize this is going on, like the third encounter now, there's like, he's like right by the exit of the store. I'm coming out and I don't see him, and I'm looking around for him and all that. And as I come out the store, I see him standing right there talking to the store manager. So I stand up right next to both of them, and all three of us are there, and I take out my phone. I say hi to the store manager. I don't say anything to him. I take out my phone and I call CCRB again. When I get in the CCRB, I tell them my name, they bring up the file, and I said, I just want to make a statement to add to the file that there's one of the police officers, I'm not sure what his name is, and I give a description. And I'm talking on the phone that he can hear me. The police officer can hear me. So once I said that, I said, I don't know, this is like the third occasion that I've seen him while I'm working on my route. I'm not sure if this is his jurisdiction, that he works in this area, but I just want this documented just in case if something else happens, being the fact that I felt like I was set up once, and I don't know if they're trying to set me up again. When I say that, he walks off. I don't even think he tells the store manager bye. He walks off. That's the last time I seen them. I don't know if they were still following me after that or even observing me after that from a distance, but that's the last time I seen that close intimidation act that they tried to do. So back to the court date now. I tell him I tell my lawyer I don't want to take no plea bargain, I want a dismissal. I go inside, when I go inside the court, same offer comes back up. They speak to my lawyer. The judge asks my lawyer to approach the bench. My lawyer goes up there, and him and the assistant DA and the judge are talking. We can't really hear whatever. Then I hear my lawyer says, no. Then I hear the judge raise his voice at my lawyer and says, listen, I don't think you understand. Sorry, guys. I hear the judge raise voice at my lawyer and says, listen, I don't think you understand the gravity of the situation. The same thing that he said to me. He says, tell your client what we're offering. So my lawyer says my client instructed me that he only wants a dismissal, and I believe he deserves a dismissal. So the judge says, speak to your client before you even say anything else. I was like, wow. So my lawyer walks over to me now. The judge and the DA standing there. My lawyer comes to me and he says, they're offering you a 5-day ACD. So I said, a 5-day ACD. Now, ACDs is the previous two court dates when I came there, I've heard on other individuals getting ACDs, and I didn't know what ACDs were. And basically they would say you get 6 months ACD and then your file is sealed. So basically the individual has to stay out of trouble, no police contact for 6 months, and then they seal that file from certain individuals, because I'm sure if you have to get a government job or anything like that, they can see what's in those files. And it's still a charge against you, even though it's a sealed file. So no, that's not a dismissal. That's not what I want. So then I thought about it. I was like, that's what an ACD is. So when my lawyer says they're offering you 5-day ACD, I said, 5-day ACD? What are you trying to tell me? Like I stay out of trouble for 5 days? I stay out of police contact for 5 days and then they'll seal the file? And he was like, yeah, basically yes. I said, I didn't even answer my lawyer. I looked over my lawyer's shoulder and I looked at the judge and I said, that sounds like desperation. No, thank you. I want a dismissal. So his eyes open up. The judge gets like, oh, it looked like if he could throw the gavel at me, he would throw the gavel at me. Everybody in the courtroom that day, there was people outside the courtroom that was stopping me. It was like, oh man, what were you doing in there or whatever? But the judge's eyes opened up and he was like, all deals are off the table. The next time you come to court, we'll finalize it. He gives me another court date. So as we're walking out, my lawyer says, this is 80 days since they arrested you. And you know something? That I just got, he was like, you know something? I forgot to tell you, don't worry about it. I said, what is it? He said, this pill that they found in your car, it still hasn't come back from toxicology. I said, really? Because from what I remember with Mr. Lesser now, is that anytime you're arrested, the evidence against you has to be presented to the courts within the first 90 days. If they do not have any evidence against you within the first 90 days, that's an automatic dismissal. You cannot just have me in court and you have no evidence against me. And this is day 80. So I said, oh, I get what you're getting at. So from that point now, it was about a week and a half later, 10 days, my lawyer calls me and says, yep, 10 days, still no pill. I'm putting it in filing them for injunction. A couple days after that, he tells me to come down to his office. He gives me the paperwork for dismissal. And that's how I beat that case. Right? Now the next process is the more important process. I start a civil suit now because of that police misconduct that I was in. And I have a substantiated CCRB. I have a dismissal on the official case, especially dismissal because of lack of evidence. And my claim is that they planted that evidence. So that lack of evidence and me claiming that they planted that evidence, it seems very strong now. And that's what put the whole thing on a hold. Now, when I started my civil case, they've seen what the case was. They've seen my case was built before I even got my lawyer. That's the thing, that they've seen what my case was. And if I really brought this case like I wanted to bring it to the Supreme Court, I definitely probably would have changed the law right then. But my father was sick during that time. And like I said before, during my father's decline in health, my focus was basically on my family. And even though I had to deal with this court case, I was focusing on my family. When my father passed away and we had to bury my father, it just put me in a different mind frame. And them calling me a couple days after I buried my father to settle this case, I didn't even know it was a settlement. My lawyer just called me and told me to come down there. And when I came down there, I spoke to a person. Let's just say that I spoke to a person that's a representative of New York City, and they offered me $50,000 to settle the case. I explained to that person the money is not what I'm after. I'm after the change in policy, and if you can assure me that no police officer can do the same thing I've been thinking about all these years, no police officer can do this again, you can keep the money. She tells me that the only person that can change that policy would be the commissioner of police, and he's the only person. And I said, well, that needs to change then. That needs to change. She looks at me and she tells me, Mr. Wilson, there's no doubt in my mind that you're a hardworking individual. please just take the settlement because I don't want to see you become a victim again. I don't know what that meant. And I'm going to leave it right there. I'm not going to go any further with that. I didn't realize how everything was going, but I asked her to excuse me for a second. I called my mother and I told my mother, yeah, they offered me $50,000. I told my mother everything. Like, my mother know that I didn't care about the money. I just wanted to change the policy. I've been wanting to change the policy. So when I spoke to my mother about the whole situation, she said, you know what, son, you just buried your father. Sometimes in life you have to close certain doors and start opening new doors. So whatever they're offering you, just take it and just come home. I hung up the phone. I went back in to speak with the lady, and as I spoke with her, before I even got out the words that I was going to take the $50,000, she told me, okay, I'll add $25,000 to it. I could have haggled with her and gotten more. I definitely think so. But it wasn't even about the money. I just took the $75,000 and I said, okay, I'll take the $75,000. She looked surprised when I said, okay, I'll take the $75,000. But now, if she's watching this, yeah, I was going to take the 50. But I took the $75,000 and I just walked out from there. I thought it was done right there. And to be honest with you guys, I thought that I failed. I thought I hit a roadblock where I couldn't change the policy, and the only thing they do is pay you for you to shut up. And I took the money. But I didn't realize that the customary amount that they pay off people was that $15,000. So me being paid $75,000 now raised a flag. And that's what started the ball rolling, where people in the court systems, even judges, and even my lawyer made a good play in that, because my lawyer ended up running for a judge seat after my case, and she became a judge. And she probably helped out that. I don't know, she never told me, but the ball started rolling, and they started putting together all these different cases of police misconduct, and they started a class action suit. And a judge, I believe the Judge Shineland, she ruled on it, saying that the city's losing too much money based on these false arrests. And a newspaper reporter came to my house and asked me about the case. I did an interview for him, and he told me that it was going to be in the Daily News. I asked him when it was going to be in the Daily News. He said it's probably going to be in the Daily News probably about the next couple of weeks. But at that point, I didn't know that a judge was going to rule on the whole stop and frisk practice. And this was a state Supreme Court judge, Judge Shineland, and she ruled that stop and frisk is illegal based on these cases, based on reviewing these cases. And my case was the case where the city had to pay the most money for a stop and frisk case, because that's basically what my case was. And $75,000 was unheard of in paying for a stop and frisk case. And I left this part out in my deposition. And to the same lady, when she told me that only the commissioner, the same representative of New York City, when she told me only the commissioner could make any change to those policies, I told her that I'm going to start educating my people to make sure that you're going to start paying money for each of these stop and frisks. So with that now, I believe all of that still took root, and that's how it came up with that. So when August 12th, 2013 came around, I woke up that morning. I did the interview probably about like 2 days before that, and I woke up that morning, and then my phone was ringing, and then there was a friend of mine saying, yo, bro, you know you're in the newspaper? So I said, I'm in the newspaper? I did an interview for the newspaper, but that wasn't supposed to come out till a couple of weeks. So then I would run to the store and I get the newspaper. I'm thinking it's going to be a little article or whatever, and I open it up and it's a 2-page spread. And the way it's depicted, and I'm like, wow. Oh, they really put it like that? And I'm telling you guys, that encounter, I still remember that till this day. There was even a lady that was was reading the newspaper when I walked in the store, and she recognized me right off the bat, and she gave me a speech. I don't remember her word for word, but she almost made me cry because she gave me a speech like just telling me that I'm here for a purpose, and right now the people need somebody that could actually stand up for them. And that speech really hit me. It really hit me like deep. But it's just a responsibility that I felt like it was a responsibility that she's trying to put on me that I don't know if I'm ready to take. But I believe whenever the divine power, whatever you follow religion, I don't get into religion, but whatever the divine power speaks to you and tells you that this is your duty to do, you should do that. And I was put in that position as a duty. And I even look back at my life, like I said, from back when I was a child, when Mr. Lesser taught me all of those things. And throughout my life, I gained all the tools to fight this battle when I finally encountered the battle. And when I encountered the battle, all of that was there. And that's the only reason that got me through that. That's the only reason that made me strong enough not to take those plea bargains when everybody else in the courtroom was taking a plea bargain and walking out the courtroom. Coming back the 3 times, even coming back that first time without a lawyer, that gave me that bravery. And I didn't realize it was unheard of because nobody does that. But sometimes you gotta walk the road less traveled to find new horizons, man. And that's my story. That's my full story. This is the first time I'm putting it out there, full and detailed like that. And I hope you have something that you could take away from it. And in the future, I hope it even could help somebody else, because like I said, a lot of people probably was against stop and frisk, and I'm sure I'm not the first person that even had a case against stop and frisk. But you making sure that everything is documented, like that CCRB, what I believe CCRB complaint was a major factor in what gave me the leverage, and that leverage led to the fact of why they gave me a $75,000 settlement. And that $75,000 settlement, that amount of money, when you hit them in the pocket, imagine if the city had to pay out $75,000 to everybody instead of $15,000. They'd be broke. It definitely would impact them. It seems like the $15,000 was okay with them. So that $75,000 was, I guess, the limit where it was no longer okay. And that raised enough of a flag. So sometimes you gotta really calculate how you're gonna do certain things. Another way of doing it is even getting into the whole mix, running for office, becoming a legislator yourself, so you can change certain policies. But the main thing is the bravery. You just have to do it. You just have to go for it. And I look back in hindsight, this is something that I'm proud of. I'm definitely proud of this. And I don't regret not one bit of it. I don't regret not one bit of it. Because I do realize that the climate of people and police was much different than it is now, before this than after it. And some of it is not all good, but it's not all bad. You know what I'm saying? And that change that was implemented after the whole end of stop and frisk, and I seen it kind of travel to different states. And there was other things during that time. I did a few marches against police brutality, and that paved the way for me to even make certain other changes. I made speeches about making sure that you have your camera out if you suspect police misconduct, even if you suspect that you see police beating on somebody unlawfully, videotape them. And that's like a regular thing now. You see people videotaping the police all the time. And now the police, even since I made that speech, now the police, they have their own cameras, those Axon cameras on their chest. So, you know what? I believe it's a move in the right direction. Just like the gun laws, it's a move in the right direction. Start educating the people that have guns. it's a move in the right direction. Some people don't like change, but the only way you're gonna get a better tomorrow is through change. So that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully, like I said, you took something from this video that you can use. Until the next time, peace.
Bread man, make myself your life is not a dead man.